What is happening? Hold on, guys. Oh, YouTube seems to be working, but weird things are happening. Here you go. Are we back? Okay. Oh, I look washed out. Let's do this. I can do something with that. Here we go, and here we go, and boom. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. I am your host, KevinlyFather. This is Spilling Covfefe and eating riblets. I'm just going to eat breakfast. 2 ribs with ranch, which is, just as healthy as Cinnamon Roach Crunch. When you come right down, with probably less sugar. That's good. So comparatively, that's the way to live your life, by the way. Just compare yourself. Why are you drunk and lying in the middle of the road? Well, it's better than being Hitler. It is. It's true. Doesn't mean it's good. A riblet is just a small rib. They're actually regular size ribs. So you guys can... And they get bigger and bigger if they giant ribs. Yeah, we just somebody in the chat room put up the assassination attempt on Rudy. We should watch that right off the bat because it is hilarious. He probably got hit pretty hard, like a good slap on the back, but he didn't stumble forward 2 or 3 steps and recovered. And luckily, he didn't fall because he's in great shape for a 78-year-old. Here's him talking about the whole thing. Hold on, let's make this better. Okay. This is Rudy talking about the incident, and then we'll watch the incident and you'll see what happened. So he apparently got shot in the back. Assassinated. Okay, here we go.
About a third of the way through, I got hit on the back as if a boulder hit me.
As if a boulder hit him.
It knocked me forward a step or two.
A step or two, okay.
It didn't knock me down.
Nope.
But it hurt tremendously.
This man took a boulder to the back.
I did not know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
I mean, there really wasn't time to think about what... We'll see.
And all of a sudden,
I'm in a area where there are people, and I didn't...
heard someone yell at me something I can't repeat. About what I am,
what?
Curse words, dirty curse words, and then
what were
dirty
they?
Curse words, and then
what were
more
they?
dirty. As he retreated, ran away.
Oh,
and then he turned around and he said that I was a woman killer.
He ran away. He just walked by, but we'll see.
You
the
kill
woman
women,
killer.
Your party kills women.
Yep.
About a third of the way.
Okay, kills women. Oh, there's no more than that. Okay, let's watch the actual.
Luckily, I didn't fall down.
Here we go.
All of a sudden, I feel
Watch
a
right
shot
here.
on my back.
A shot on his
Somebody
back.
Shot me. And all
You
of
can
a sudden,
see he takes a step or 2 forward.
I feel a
Here it is
shot on
again.
my back.
Doesn't appear to take a step. Might have moved a foot slightly. I don't know. Can't tell from there because we don't see his feet. So he could have taken a step or 2 forward from the boulder that hits his back here.
And all of a sudden, I feel a shot on my back. Like somebody shot me.
Like somebody shot him. It could have been quite loud, depending on what you're wearing, etc. Good shot on the back. There doesn't appear to be a wind-up. Let's
All
watch
of a
again.
sudden,
See, you can see it right through here, back, and to the left, on his back, and to the
I
left.
feel a shot on my back.
Here it is. Oh, my goodness.
Like somebody shot me.
Uh-huh.
I went forward, but luckily I didn't
And the guy was arrested. They arrested that guy.
fall down.
Now here's him running away.
78-year-old.
Running away, also known as moseying.
Pretty good shape. Because if I wasn't, I'd have hit the ground and probably cracked my...
There's some security guys now talking to the guy. He probably gave him a good slap on the back. Probably did. Not a tremendous one. Certainly not a shot. Certainly not a boulder.
skull. And then...
But then it was about being called dirty curse words and woman killer.
I look around, and all of a sudden...
That's thanks to the New York Post, according to the whatever we got there. I don't like it. I don't like physically assaulting people. I don't like violence. Was it violent? No. Yeah, don't slap people. It's a slap on the back, but that's... I think the only thing about it was that it was unexpected and unwelcome, so don't. I mean, if... Did he ask Rudy if he would consent to being slapped on the back? Because remember how Rudy will ridicule anybody who says anything about consent. Yeah, let's catch up on yesterday. I hope this guy like pleads not guilty and refuses. I hope the prosecutors are like, no, we're taking this all the way. But yes, the video certainly seems to indicate that it was not tremendously hard like a boulder, like a gunshot. But you guys will change your mind when you see the video of the exit wound. This is from yesterday, our friend Maria Bartramara. See what she's on about. I haven't watched it. I was away all weekend. I missed you guys so dearly. Played a lot of good netsing. Had fun. Played at center court at La Costa Country Club or Golf Club or Tennis Club or something. Wonderful life, wonderful people. I am extremely blessed in so many ways. Marcy says, luckily his fiancée niece was there to comfort him.
See this turnout here?
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to control their bodies no matter how they try and stop us.
Okay, so you see this turnout here. This is Maxine Waters, by the way. Remember, several years ago, it would be 6 years ago now, could be 5, 6 years ago, Maxine Waters came out and said, if you see one of these Republicans, these Donald Trump people, these people in the administration in public, get up in their face and push back. And she didn't mean actually physically push them. She didn't say slap them on the back like a boulder. But, oh my God, the right uses that footage over and over and over again. Every time there's a threat of any kind of violence, Maxine Waters called it by saying, you get in their faces and you push back, which is not, she didn't physically mean push them back. How do we know? How do we know that that's what she meant? Because it's been 6 years and no one's done it. But no, keep pushing that theme, Fox. And I don't mean physically pushing. You see how that works?
Hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
Okay, we will defy the Supreme Court. All right.
That was Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters fanning the flames of violence after the Supreme...
Where? Where is the violence? How was she fanning flames of violence? Did I miss it? Let's go back. Just want to be fair here. Let's go right back. Oh, that's too far back. Yeah, let's just start here.
Their bodies, no matter how they try and stop us. The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
We will defy them. Doesn't mention any violence. Hi, Yoshi.
Congresswoman Maxine.
Who? One more time.
Women are going to control their bodies no matter...
Oh, okay. There's a good point there. I missed that part. Women controlling their bodies is violence. I mean, if a slap on the back is violence, then women controlling their bodies, definitely violence. By the way, YouTube, Twitter, etc., I'm using sarcasm. I do not believe that Maxine Waters is calling for violence here. But she is a favorite of the right. A powerful black woman telling people to be politically active? How dare she? Remember, she went to, was it Milwaukee or was it, I think it was Milwaukee. I could be wrong. She did call for people to act up, to take a stand. And she was talking about registering to vote. But that part was not shown by Fox News or any of the right way. It was all about taking a stand and rising up. It's going to be a revolution. Yeah, she was saying register to vote, but nobody showed that. I'm by no means am I a Maxine Waters fan, but
try and...
If you can use the defense that your president read off a teleprompter peacefully and patriotically right before he says, actually it was several minutes, it was about a half an hour before he said, march down to the Capitol and fight for your country or you're not going to have a country anymore. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Maxine does not say fight like hell.
The hell with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We will defy them.
That was Democrat
Democrat. That's why. Because she's a demon cat.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters fanning the flames.
And even worse, a black cat. It's bad luck.
Of violence after the Supreme Court decision on Roe v. Wade. More
Yeah.
massive hypocrisy given the...
Okay, first off, right off the bat, you know you're dealing somebody who's not being an unbiased commenter at this point because she calls her a Democrat. Everyone knows she's from the Democratic Party. There's no such thing as the Democrat Party. It's a Democratic Party.
January 6th hearings underway right now.
She drunk? What is wrong with her?
And the Democrats' efforts to try to blame President Trump
Democrats?
for just that. Joining us right now to discuss the January 6th hearings and the blockbuster news of the week, our Ohio Congresswoman.
Oh, good. Ohio Congresswoman? Did she just say Congress? I don't think so. I think I misheard that. Let's go back.
Court decision on Roe v. Wade. More massive hypocrisy given the January 6th hearings underway right now. And the Democrats' efforts to try to blame President Trump for just...
What?
that. Joining us right now to discuss the January 6th hearings and the blockbuster news of the week, our Ohio Congressman and House Judiciary Committee ranking member, Jim Jordan, along
she did say Congresswoman.
with investigative journalist and editor-in-chief of Just the News, John Solomon. Gentlemen,
God.
great to have you both. Thanks very much for being here. Jim Jordan, it's great to see you this morning. And John Solomon, thank you for being here. Congressman, tell me your thoughts after seeing Maxine Waters in that clip. I mean, isn't this exactly what we're talking about in the January 6th hearings?
What?
Well, the left is always they're always trying to intimidate, you know. But this decision.
What? Talking about the January 6th hearings. What did she say there? That women will control their own bodies? I don't remember that part from the January 6th hearings, but maybe I fell asleep. I don't know.
This week was a win for life, was a win for the Constitution, a win for common sense, and God bless the Supreme Court, and God bless President Trump. This doesn't happen if he doesn't put the right people on the court. I mean, this was a huge victory for life, but it was also a victory over the intimidation tactics of the left. Never forget the pattern here. I mean, it started with the Kavanaugh confirmation, all the crazy things they did. Then it was Schumer on the steps of the Supreme Court saying all the ridiculous things he said. It was Jerry Nadler introducing a bill to pack the court. It was
for which he apologized. He spent about 2 weeks on an apology tour for that, for saying that let me say the Supreme Court justices, was it Kavanaugh specifically, something like that, that he won't know what hit him or something. It'll be like a boulder to your back, I believe, are the words that he used.
The intimidation tactics they tried to use against Justice Thomas and his wife. And, of course, then it was the leak of the draft opinion. It was a hearing the Judiciary Committee had on this subject matter pending in front of the court on the abortion issue. And then, of course, that was the assassination attempt on a sitting United States Supreme Court justice. But none of that mattered. The court did the right thing, and they said the Constitution means what it says. And we got a victory for life. But again, this doesn't happen if President Trump doesn't do what he said he would do and put the right people on our highest court.
Well, that's
A victory for life, unless it's the life of the mother.
right. To mention President Trump, and John Solomon, you wrote about this. The president's legacy was on full display this weekend, not just with the abortion ruling, but also with the Supreme Court striking down the New York handgun law.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then again this morning with the case that struck down basically separation of church and state. Now anybody's going to be able to lead a prayer or say a prayer in public school, religions one side or another. Yes, ribs for breakfast.
That's what the congressman said. I just want to remind people, Friday night, legislators in the Arkansas Capitol were trapped by people trying to break into the Capitol, pro-abortion protesters trying to break into the Capitol, threaten the lawmakers. They had to be rescued by police. Mini insurrection in Phoenix. A lot of the media aren't talking about that, but that shows you what happens when you get...
Did that happen? Or were there just protesters peacefully protesting outside? And so, I mean, that's standard with protests. So we're going out the back door. or we need an escort. But that's allowed. You're allowed to peacefully protest. Was there violence? Because if there's not violence, then it's a peaceful protest. Anybody know specifically on, what was that, Arkansas he said first, and then Phoenix?
Ad hoc rhetoric like we saw from Congresswoman Maxine Waters. On this, it's absolutely true. President Trump said he would get 3 picks. He got 3 picks. He picked 3 people that were instrumental in the 2 rulings that came down last week, gun rights and abortion. And now we have a very clear majority in the court that says 2 things. If a right is enshrined in the Constitution, we're not going to infringe it unless there's a very good reason. And if it's not enshrined in the...
Saw a stat the other day. 13 of the last 15 Supreme Court justices have been appointed by Republicans. I don't know if that's absolutely accurate, because I'm thinking now, because Obama had 2. So yeah, actually, that sounds about right. Clinton had, but then Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. So, but here's the thing: the Republicans haven't won the voice of the American people in 30 years. 6 conservatives to 3, and the Republicans have not won the popular vote, and by popular vote I mean vote, of the American people in 30 years. And yet they dominate the Supreme Court. This all goes back to the Democrats not screaming like hell, not suing when Merrick Garland was being blocked from taking his rightful place. The Constitution says the Senate has to advise and consent. But if you don't have any hearings, you can't advise. The Mitch McConnell gambit of blocking Merrick Garland ended up blocking medical freedom for American women. And more should have been done about it at the time. And Obama didn't want to do that because it was unbecoming. You're not dealing with reasonable people.
Constitution, like abortion, we're just going to kick it to the states the way our founding fathers did. That is a very clear majority in the court that speaks with...
You know the way the founding fathers kicked abortion to the states.
That voice now.
Well, Congressman, let me get your take on the gun bill that passed the Senate, and you voted against it. Tell me what you felt about that bill.
Well, the government has already shown that it will weaponize, the left has already shown they'll weaponize the government against their political opposition. We saw it with the IRS targeting conservatives. We saw it with the FBI spying on President Trump's campaign. We're seeing it as we today with the Department of Justice going after moms and dads who have the courage to show up at a school board meeting and speak up for their kids. And now
No, not if they speak up for their kids. If they threaten violence against a public official.
The Congress passed a law which says to states, we're going to bribe states to put in...
Goose, you're absolutely right. Bush did have the popular vote against Kerry. It's interesting. Only after, yeah, he did. And George Bush Sr., so is that 30 years? So 88? Yeah, so just ignore all of what I just said. It's early, and I'm just thinking about my ribs. I'm like, I keep thinking, why am I broadcasting right now? I just want to be eating ribs. Sorry. But Goose, you're absolutely correct. I said corrected.
Place red flag.
The bonus is nobody watches this. So, yeah.
Flag laws, which in simple terms say if someone doesn't like you, they can go file a petition with a court or with law enforcement, and there's a hearing that you're not allowed to be at. Your lawyer can't be present. You can't confront your accusers. You're never charged with the crime, but they can take your property. They can take your Second Amendment rights from you, and then you have to go then and petition to get that right back, that fundamental liberty John just talked about, that the court talked about this week. You have to go petition to get that back. That's not how the...
Yeah, that's how restraining orders or protection orders work. You know, generally, you have to go to the judge by yourself first, because typically your stalker doesn't just show up at the court. You have to go before a judge and say, I need a restraining order, and then the respondent has 2 weeks to respond and go to court and prove that, no, in fact, this is not the situation. But that's how it works. You can't expect women being threatened by their ex-boyfriends to wait, well, let's set a court date. If you would you mind, Maxwell, showing up on this date at this courtroom? Until then, do as you will. And I know you're here. I can hear you under my house with a gun. So we'll see you. It's Tuesday the 18th at 3:30. Can you be there? No, the municipal court. Okay, thank you. Doesn't work that way. But in Jim's world...
country works. That's not how our Constitution works. That is not
That's not how anything works, Jim.
due process in any way. What?
Yes, and that's the due process. It has been decided in this country that it is due process in the orders of protection, otherwise known as restraining orders. You say, hey, Your Honor, I really need some protection. Your Honor says, okay, well, we'll grant it to you right away. Because people get killed, especially women folk, all the time in this country. Here's your protection order, and if he violates it, or she, could be a she. It is, by the time. I had to get a protection order against a she. And then 2 weeks later, the she showed up, and then I showed the evidence, and the judge is like, okay, you are not to contact him, you are not to be near him, you are not to talk to his friends, you are not to bother him on social media, etc., etc., etc.
Whatsoever. So that's why I was against this bill. I hope states don't do this, even though the federal government's trying to bribe them and encourage them to do so. I hope they don't go down this road because it's unconstitutional.
I want to take a short break.
So challenge it, and then it'll go before the Supreme Court, and it'll be decided that it's unconstitutional, and women are not, in fact, entitled to protection under the Constitution, because it doesn't mention protection of women in the Constitution. Therefore, historically speaking, women do not have any rights in this country.
Get to the breaking news that, John, you had...
Thank you, Trump.
This weekend, coming up, Adam Schiff is added again in plain sight. More with Congressman Jim Jordan and John Solomon right after this short break. Stay with us.
Should we watch a little bit more? Let's watch a little bit more.
You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion. Pretty compelling evidence will show.
Yes. We know that there was collusion. That has been proven over and over and over again. Was there conspiracy? That's the crime. Collusion and conspiracy are two different things. Collusion is just cooperation, not a crime. Was there conspiracy to commit fraud on the American people? Can't be proven. Why? Because Trump's people deleted emails. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Page 10 of the Mueller report.
Evidence of the president's involvement in this scheme. We'll also, again, show evidence about what his own lawyers came to think about this scheme.
Do you have evidence that he directed it?
You know, I don't want to get ahead of our hearing. We'll show during a hearing what the president's role was.
Oh, boy. Welcome back. That was Democrat Congressman and House Intel Committee
Democratic
Chairman Adam Schiff last week saying that he has evidence of wrongdoing, once again, by President Donald Trump, just like he did during the Russia collusion lie throughout 2017 to 2019. 3 years later, we are still waiting on evidence, especially since...
No, we know.
Since we now know for sure Hillary Clinton's campaign made up the Russia collusion lie.
They didn't.
And managed to distribute it throughout the government agencies, such as the FBI and the DOJ and the CIA, as
Okay, but it started with George Papadopoulos. We know that.
well as the media.
It was an Australian diplomat.
Making it go viral across the world and misleading the American people multiple times. We are back with Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan and investigative journalist John Solomon. And Congressman Jordan, I want to just say, Adam Schiff, forgive us if we just don't believe you anymore. After all of these lies for so many years, the January 6th committee is muddying the waters, or trying to, headed into the midterms. Your reaction to what took place this week, Congressman? A witness testified.
Did you hear that? The January 6th committee is muddying the waters. This is after several weeks of Republicans claiming that no one's watching. Nobody cares. It's not going to do a thing. It's a waste of taxpayer money. Suddenly they're muddying the waters.
That you discussed presidential pardons with members of Congress.
Yeah.
No, not with members of Congress. No one is saying that.
Yeah, fake news. The witness said I didn't request a pardon, and I didn't request a pardon because
he didn't say that. The witness says you didn't request one, but you inquired about them, that you discussed it.
I didn't do anything wrong, and I never, in relation to January 6th, discussed pardons. But this is just more.
Oh, that's not what the witness says. The witness says you did discuss pardons.
Lies from this committee. In fact,
okay, but you're basically saying go testify. You're a material witness. Now, the difference between a witness and a material witness is pretty much a suspect. That's how it works. That's why Jim Jordan couldn't be on the Unselect Committee. He's a material witness. He's a suspect. You can't have a suspect on the committee that's investigating the suspects. And what he's saying here is quite suspect. Because what the witness said is, yes, absolutely, he discussed it. He inquired about it.
We caught him in another lie. And I think this is real important, Maria. We only get to see a limited amount of information because remember...
It's interesting, too, Ad Random points out. Why does he qualify it with only in relation to January 6th? He probably discussed pardons for other reasons.
The witness said, I didn't request a pardon, and I didn't request a pardon because I didn't do anything wrong, and I never, in relation to January 6th, discussed pardons. But this is just...
Good catch.
More lies from this committee. In fact, we caught him in another lie. And I think this is real important, Maria. We only get to see a limited amount of information because remember, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let the people that Leader McCarthy selected for the committee to be on the committee. So we only get to get a little bit of the evidence, and we've already...
No, she let 3 of the 5, but not you, because you're a suspect. Because you were asking about pardons.
Caught him in multiple...
Trump is now demanding this morning that, or may have been yesterday, I don't know. He put out on the Truth Social, he demanded that they be allowed to present evidence, the states. I'm like, yeah, let him. Do it. Let him show fucking 2,000 mules and debunk it in real time. I'll do it. Have me come down.
Lies. Imagine
not this week. I'm busy.
Imagine how many things they're lying about that we don't know about because we don't get to see the documents and hear the testimony and do the deposition. But we caught them lying about me a few months ago when they altered a text message. Adam Schiff presented it to the country as if it was true. It didn't come from me. It was something I forwarded. He changed the punctuation, left a bunch out. And they did the same thing this past week when they showed a video clip where
he forwarded a text message. I mean, retweeting something is one thing. And you may be putting a comment on the tweet saying this is ridiculous or whatever. Or, for example, if I'm showing something about the machines being hacked in the election, I'm critiquing that and I'm saying, no, they weren't. It's not true. And I still get a community strike because YouTube doesn't really... Where was I? Anyway.
I said the ultimate date of significance is January 6th in a presidential election in determining the winner. What they
No, it's not.
left out was that I was...
It's in December. That's already happened. This is just the official counting of the votes.
Quoting the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's the one who said January 6th is the ultimate day of significance in finally determining who is, in fact, the President of the United States. So multiple lies we've caught him in. This committee, I think the country understands, is purely partisan, and they're not, frankly, paying much attention to what's being said.
By the way, we should show the tweet from...
Oh, okay, but when you forward something in a text saying this is the way things are... And don't say, hey, I don't agree with this. You're endorsing that point of view. You don't have to be the very first person in history to say that.
Liz Cheney, one of the leaders of the January 6th committee, praising the Supreme Court's decision. She was very much in line with all the Democrats up until now. I think she's...
Right, because she's a Republican and she's allowed to have her own opinions. Good. Okay, so Liz Cheney's back, right? She's not a rhino anymore?
Earned some Democrat stomach with this tweet. I have always been strongly pro-life. Today's ruling by the Supreme Court returns power to the states and the people of the states to address the issue of abortion under state law, writes Representative Liz Cheney. Now,
right.
John Solomon, you've written this.
Right, so she's not in lockstep with the committee. She has her own opinions, and they're Republican viewpoints. So she's a Republican. And there are Republicans on the committee, apparently.
This week about government transparency dimming under Joe.
I'm not sure, Dog Mothers, that John Solomon actually has a full face. It feels like something's missing.
Biden, we know that they are trying to control the narrative with all of these new agencies that they're creating, like that misinformation commission that they had to cancel. Tell me about...
They didn't have to cancel. They chose to cancel. But that was just like a terrible move to begin with. Yeah, seriously, if you're in the Democratic Party and you need some advice on stuff like that, just call me. Actually, don't call me. Text me. I don't answer phone calls, especially from unknown numbers. But if you do need some help on messaging, I'll help you. Because every time something like that happens, I go, oh my God. For example, medical freedom. This next election should be about medical freedom.
About transparency dimming under this president.
Well, listen.
Transparency dimming? What?
Listen, the amount of information they put out is shrinking every day, and some of the transparency initiatives that President Trump had put into place, like settlements with liberal groups that get a settlement when the Justice Department takes care of a litigation case, they've taken the transparency away from them. They're no longer...
Okay, well, it should be for everybody, not just liberal groups. Transparency on you can't, as the government, you can't favor one side or the other.
We're going to post that publicly. And when you get to the January 6th Commission, you see this time again, the same tactic we saw in Russia. Only put out certain pieces of information, leave the rest out, and so they create the illusion.
In Russia, or every single case ever.
Illusion that...
Right. And if you want to have your own hearing, if you want to have your own defense, go for it. That you could, Jim Jordan can rent a room. There's plenty of buildings around there. He can take a tour from Loudermilk. He can find out where the rooms are, and he can have his own hearings. And if C-SPAN wants to cover it or Fox News wants to cover it, then God, more power to you.
There's reality there, and then when we dig in and we get the full body of evidence, you find out that what they claim was never true. They've used a lack of transparency to create false reality time and time again, going all the way back to Russia collusion.
And there has been evidence uncovered.
Speaking of which, Brian Williams was in my dream last night. We were coming out of a television station. I was trying to find the car, and someone was driving us around, and I couldn't find the car, and they had another car. They had met someone, and they brought around another car, but that car didn't have enough seats, and there was a raccoon in the car. Anybody else? Was anybody else in that dream?
Pelosi and the Democrats had ample evidence that there would be violence on January 6th. Isn't that true, Jim Jordan? You've been asking the question, why was the Capitol vulnerable in the first place?
Well, I mean, they had it fenced off. There were police officers, many police officers all around the place. They did not expect 10,000 people. Yeah. Remember, the permit that the rally got, the rally on the ellipse, specifically forbade them from marching to the Capitol.
Especially when President Trump offered the National Guard, they didn't take him up on the offer. I think the reason is
because it was never offered.
Because the summer before, in the summer of 2020, you had the Democrats calling rioters.
And by the way, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, neither one of them is in charge of approval of the National Guard. The Sergeant at Arms would be where this comes for final approval, who could then let either of the leaders know it never got that far.
And looters, peaceful protesters. You had the Democrats saying defund the police, and then all of a sudden, when there might be a concern...
None of the Democratic leaders said defund the police. None of them.
They said, well, it wouldn't look good if we called out the National Guard and we had all this police presence here in light of what...
That was the Sergeant-at-Arms appointed by Mitch McConnell. Probably not a Democrat.
We've said now for several months in the run-up to the election.
So say it. Have a hearing. Enjoy.
I think that was the reason, but that's something that needs to be answered. But I don't...
Okay, have a news conference with witnesses. Go for it.
I don't think it's going to happen, certainly not with this committee.
Real quick before you go, to you both, do you think that this changes what we were expecting for November? I'm talking about the Supreme Court ruling. Does this SCOTUS decision on abortion change anything that you're expecting in November? Both the president and Nancy Pelosi have said now this is on the ballot.
I don't think it will.
I don't. I think... Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Jim Jordan.
Well, no, I don't think it will at all.
That worked out well. Ask both the questions, or ask both the guests the same question, and then don't tell them who you want first. Smart.
Look, pro-life people have been working for 50 years for this kind of decision, for the court to say the Constitution means what it says, and this is a huge win for life. I think our people are going to be motivated.
But the Constitution doesn't say anything about abortion, remember? But it does say that we have the right to medical privacy, which is how Roe v. Wade was first decided. 7-2. Conservative judges were on that court. 7-2. Now we've completely flipped around. The right has gone so much farther right, and the left has become the center.
Motivated to come out and vote, and I think all the crazy things you've seen from the Biden administration, it's going to be a big day.
I hope it changes the election. I hope young women show up and vote, and not just based on gas prices. This country, we are so narcissistic in this country.
For Republicans.
Final word, John Solomon.
27% of people in a Gallup poll said abortion mattered to them. Only 27%. That means the rest of people are making decisions based on lots of issues.
Okay, but 27% is a huge hunk when it comes to dealing with abortion, considering that any given year, 3 to 4% would actually be considering having an abortion. 27% is huge.
This is a pocketbook election, I guess.
That being said, the attention span of the American people is 2 weeks, so no.
High inflation, food shortages, that's what this election is going to be about.
Gentlemen, it's great to get you both.
The election is so far away. Anybody who says the election's going to be about, it really doesn't know. What else is going on? Who she got next? I don't even know who that is. We'll skip that. Something about Biden being insane. Approval ratings on Biden. An owl selling sunglasses or something. And then, of course, caravans of migrants. So, nothing new there. Let's check in on our friends at Fox and Friends and see what they had going on this morning. I'm really in the mood for a diner telling me how things are. Let's go to Fox and Friends. And is it a holiday today? It's Monday. We had a holiday last week. By the way, anybody asks you what Joe Biden has done, he gave us a national holiday. That's pretty damn cool. Like 6 or 7 presidents have given us national holidays. Joe Biden gave us a holiday in summer. Still no holiday in August, folks. Still waiting on that. So, Biden, if you're listening, this is a good time to have a holiday. We got July 4th. Now we got a holiday in June. Fantastic weather. August as well. August 13th is my birthday. No reason that shouldn't be a holiday.
Thank you so much. Fox and Friends starts right.
Okay, and then, yeah, there's some summertime.
I feel bad.
Okay.
So in other words, our state could kick your state's butt. Which we're saying, and all these different analogies. Yeah. I just feel like Rhode Island's always.
I think America would appreciate a holiday. What I've long said is just make the 4th of every month a holiday. You've already got your July 4th, which, by the way, is Independence Day. People forget that. Just have fireworks every 4th of whatever, and the dogs and the cats can all suffer through it because we hate our dogs and our cats, apparently.
The small state analogy.
Have you been to Newport before?
Yeah, beautiful.
So beautiful. And there's
My forefathers established Rhode Island, by the way.
a great restaurant called the Black Pearl in Rhode Island where they serve
I never got. Now I'm going to the Black Pearl. What do they serve?
clam chowder, and it is
I'm allergic to clams. Damn it.
so good. It is worth going.
If it was so good, why didn't you bring us a T-shirt? Because usually great places you bring
Next time I go, I will.
Right.
Why didn't you bring the clam chowder? Screw the T-shirt.
I mean, I like the places where you could actually envision the boat pulling up to the dock and giving you clams. How many clams do you need? Here's your clams, and it goes right to the kitchen. Like, for example, if you have seafood in the middle of Texas, you know it can't be fresh. But if you're in Rhode Island and you want a clam,
the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh,
remember
the middle.
Yeah, Texas has the ocean. Texas has a huge seafood industry. Right off the coast of Texas, you can get yourself shrimp gumbo, fried shrimp, sautéed shrimp.
Middle of Texas.
Well, they've got airplanes.
What do they got, a chopper and a bass?
Maybe.
No, you can get the bass fresh in Texas.
Yeah, they have bass in the lakes in Texas. Have you never watched the Country Music Channel? It's 3 videos followed by 18 hours of bass fishing competitions.
That's a good point.
I've got an answer for everything.
That's a good point, yeah, Brian. But way to rag on Texas. Owned it.
All right, good.
Well, we were all following the protests over the weekend. They were erupting nationwide following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn.
but not a real green dress that's cruel.
Roe v. Wade. In Los Angeles, Friday, the protesters blocked a free...
Remember, this was going to be the weekend of violence. The nights of rage. This country was going to be burnt to the ground. We were going to wake up Monday and our country would be gone.
Freeway.
There would be seafood in Texas.
And we're seen throwing sticks at the...
Oh, no! Somebody threw sticks.
Cars.
Yeah, LAPD officers.
At the cars. By the way, don't throw things at things. Do not touch people on the back. Do not throw things at things.
Were also targeted with a makeshift blowtorch and fireworks.
Whoa.
2 people were arrested in the incident. One even being charged.
Yeah, don't do that. That's an incendiary device too. Don't throw fireworks at the police. In fact, don't protest and stuff. It's not. You're not making any difference. Remember, this was leaked that the Supreme Court was going to do that, and everybody did the march by the judges' houses and everything. It didn't make a difference. Register people to vote. That's where you want to put your energy. Go set up a table. Register everybody who walks by.
With attempted murder of a police officer.
Launch a lawsuit. Go after the Electoral College. Do something that will matter.
Because they shot that at the officer. In Portland, a group of rioters smashed windows.
Yeah, those are the anarchists.
And drew graffiti on...
Yeah, no, okay, so what happens in Portland? Portland and Seattle, every time there's some kind of march, or the anarchists show up, they dress all in black, they wear their Nikes, and they, like, smash windows. And tip over garbage cans and stuff. These are the anarchists. They just will go with any protest, which is why I say in Seattle and Portland, stop with the protests. All you're doing is giving cover to the anarchists. You see the A that looks like the Avengers have gone drunk?
Officers were also
That's the anarchists.
A makeshift blowtorch
Yeah.
and fireworks.
Whoa.
2 people were arrested in the incident. One even being charged with attempted murder of a police officer because they shot that at the officer. In Portland, a group of rioters...
Yeah, see right there, that A? Those are the anarchists. Those are the assholes. That's what it stands for, assholes. A lot of people think it's anarchist. No, that's the anarchists paid asshole. If you squint, kind of looks like one on random things. They're leaving their calling cards. And remember, Antifa, the day after the election, was painting "Fuck Joe Biden." They started that shit.
Rioters smashed windows and drew graffiti on downtown businesses.
Meanwhile, vandals also targeted a pro-life center in Lynchburg.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't. It's graffiti, but don't.
Virginia, writing, as you can see, threatening graffiti.
And oh, there's the anarchists, by the way. There they are right there.
And breaking the windows of the building, which we've seen across the country. Protesters also attacking the State House in the state of Vermont, busting windows.
Don't do that, please.
And threatening lawmakers with the message: if abortion is not safe, you're not either. Meanwhile, today.
Yeah, don't say that.
More major Supreme Court decisions. We think there are 6 or 7 left.
Yeah, this is Bremerton, Washington. By the way, the gentleman there is a coach, and he would kneel and lead a prayer on the football field, which is a violation of the separation of church and state, because it seems like the school district, maybe as an employee of the school district said, basically, if he's an employee of the school district and he's endorsing one religion over another, then that's an issue. And he's a Christian, and he led a Christian prayer. So are you going to give equal time to Muslim prayer? Are you going to give equal time to the great giant spaghetti god in the sky? So they said, please stop doing that. We'll give you time to do it off school or whatever. But no, he had to pray on the football field because God doesn't care about anything near as much as he does a good football game.
Are expected to be released.
But only if you pray.
Starting at 10 a.m.
And it has to be kneeling because God apparently is very short. He can't hear you if you're standing.
Including cases on immigration.
I recognize her. Why do I recognize her? She might be a reporter in Seattle, I bet.
Environmental regulation, and that former high school football coach Joe Kennedy's religious liberty case.
We're all waiting to see how that goes because he is the coach that just was silently praying on the field every day after the game.
He started it on his own.
Exactly. Then some people volunteered to come and join him, some of the players, and then he was ousted. They said, you got to stop and you can't teach here anymore.
Anyway, Supreme Court decided, yeah, he can do that. What was the ruling on that? Hold on. Let's look that up together. Let's pull this up. SCOTUS. Ignore when Google populates kitty porn. I was doing some research. Okay, here's Fox News saying got a court, the school district violated, blah, blah, blah. It was a 6-3 decision. Big surprise.
Just like that. Yesterday, I was going to the bagel store in my town, and this guy, Tom...
I got to hear this story. I do like bagels.
Who I know. He said, you know, he was talking about the abortion thing. First thing...
Did you go to a diner, though? What I want to know is what people are saying in the diner.
Out of his mouth. He said they didn't ban abortion. He said people don't understand. They did not ban abortion. He said there is no constitutional right, the Supreme Court said, to an abortion, and left it up.
But there is a constitutional right to privacy. An abortion is between a woman and her doctor. Now, of course, there are other people involved in it as well. Maybe a dad should be, but the final say comes down to the medical advice of a doctor and a woman. That's how privacy works. That's medical freedom, baby. But the Supreme Court just established there is no medical privacy, in fact.
Up to the state.
Unless your state says there is.
So, you know, given that he had said that, I was thinking about that. And you've heard over the last 2 days now, so many people say, you know, this is going to have a major impact on the elections come November. And they're absolutely right. The state elections.
It's going to have impact on the state elections.
Because whether or not your...
no, it should also have an impact on the national elections because, of course, many people want to codify abortion protections in federal law.
State has restrictions on abortion.
The trouble is that most of the Congress people, both Democrat and Republican, are chicken shit.
Abortion will...
We haven't even had the guts to declare war since 1947-48. This is the last time the United States Congress was like, haven't been at war since Vietnam, not a war. Afghanistan, not a war. Iraq, not a war. Korea, not a war. No, just because if you vote for something, it's on the record and it can be used against you the next time you run. If things go poorly, and that happens during war. Things go very poorly. Wars very, very seldom end with everybody going like, yay, World War II, that was the last one.
Be determined by your lawmakers.
And that's the way it should be, right? Shouldn't every state be able to decide? Because then...
No! Every American is entitled to equal protection under the law. That's what's in the 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment, by the way, probably the most crucial amendment since the Bill of Rights. Never really looked at. Now, 13th, also very important if you happen to be black. And of course, there's other amendments in there that are important too. Giving women the right to vote. It's like a balancing act, right? Should women vote? Should they be in control of their bodies? It's like you can't have both women. That's abusing a privilege. That's really abusing the Constitution, women. Knock it off. I'm being sarcastic, by the way, YouTube. I don't even know what the community standards are on that. Like this YouTube, if someone says, because I would never say, that the Dominion voting machine somehow affected the election and that they were rigged. They weren't. They were not. But if I say that, that's a violation of community standards. But if I say women shouldn't be allowed to have medical freedom and make decisions for themselves, is that a violation of the community standards? Nope, that's not in there.
Listening to the constituents, it goes back to the people and who they elect to make those decisions for how those states represent, what their politics are. Lindsey Graham said abortion's not going to change the outcome of 2022, the elections. He says...
Yeah, Lindsey Graham said that if we elect Trump as leader of the Republican Party, we've only ourselves to blame and he will destroy it. I think he's right.
What's going to be on the ballot box is $5.
Hi, Phil.
Gas. You have this economy, inflation higher than it's been in 40 years at 8.6%, gas prices through the roof. And one lady who runs one of these clinics that was vandalized in Portland, she said they don't even know what...
President Biden came out and said we're going to have a national gas tax holiday, but he can't do that. The Congress can do that, and the Congress is probably too chicken shit to do it.
They're protesting because we are...
You know what? Use the Defense Production Act. Privatize an oil company. Go for it. See what happens.
group. We pay for diapers and baby food and that kind of thing for mothers. And she said we...
And then that's done. Then you're on your own, kid. I'm sorry, you want health insurance? No. No. Once the child is born, we'll give you some boots and it can pull up by the bootstraps.
Continuously get vandalized. In May, they were vandalized. People came to their facility and put feces all over their facility.
Gross.
In the locks, in the doors. And then recently they were...
What the fuck, idiots? Don't do that. If that's a thing, don't do that. There's the anarchy symbol, by the way. What are we... Oh, we're talking about Portland. Like I said.
Were vandalized over the weekend with breaking their windows. And she said, I'm a Democrat. I'm a Catholic. I run this center. And she said, all we're doing is providing these items for mothers who can't afford to pay for them. She said they've already made the choice to have their children and they love their kids.
Right. Well, since 1973, this has been debated. What happens if it's ever overturned? What? You know, the pro-life, pro-abortion things have been going on really almost since the day that decision came out. We're about to find out in November. I don't think anybody knows for sure. Logic says it would matter more to the...
That's true. And you also can't get seafood in Texas.
The states and the governor's races, absolutely. 13 states will have trigger bans by July. 20 states have abortion rights in place. 13 states will activate a so-called trigger ban. At least 7 states, it has already happened. So Georgia is one of the...
Okay, so it's about half the states.
Dozen states have passed the so-called fetal heartbeat bill. So there's a lot going on. Whether you're in Oklahoma or Florida or the governor of Virginia, who you're going to hear from. I was with him a couple of days before this decision came out. He's leaving in Virginia. He's going to put forward 15 weeks as a threshold.
I think it's time. It's an interesting point there, Half-Ton. Pro-life, pro-abortion. And no one's really pro-abortion. Pro-life, pro-choice. People want to have a choice. What I've heard several times this last weekend from the right is that American women deserve better than abortion. Okay, but shouldn't they be allowed to make that choice if abortion is better than not having an abortion from somebody who just raped you? American women deserve not to be raped. American women deserve for those millions of rape kits that have yet to be processed, that have been sitting there for years and years, to be processed so that we can solve some of those rapes. Because once a person rapes, they typically rape again. I don't have the exact stats on that. But if you're a rapist, that's kind of a thing.
Where abortion would be allowed in that state. And
I'm totally happy to say pro-abortion, anti-abortion. But what we should be saying is pro-freedom, anti-freedom.
They'll decide where it's going to get done. We have these companies that says, don't worry, if you're in a red state and you want an abortion, we'll provide transportation or a check. Meanwhile, AOC...
But how many people work for Dick's Sporting Goods in Mississippi? I mean, seriously.
Who is a premier booking on the Sunday shows, even though her lack of legislation and necessarily experience makes one question, but you knew her views would be extreme and inaccurate, and she did not...
Makes me question him.
...not let you down. Elizabeth Warren will follow up, and she talks about...
Oh, Elizabeth Warren's? I don't know who that is.
Hacking the court. Again, listen.
Okay.
What makes it particularly dangerous is that it sends a blaring signal to all future nominees that they can now lie to duly elected members of the United States Senate in order to secure Supreme Court confirmations. And
that's true, actually. I mean, all of the judges did lie.
And seats on the Supreme Court. I believe lying under oath is an impeachable offense.
This court has lost legitimacy. They have burned whatever legitimacy they may still have had.
Because they lied during their confirmation. I mean, we have the video of it.
After their gun decision, after their voting.
Well, the gun decision, I don't remember them talking about the gun decision in the confirmation. They did talk about Heller, which is the landmark gun decision case, gun rights case, I guess.
Decision after their union decision. They just took the last of it and set a torch to it with the Roe versus Wade opinion. I believe
this is opinion.
We need to get some confidence back in our court, and that means We need more justices on the United States Supreme Court.
So she's talking about...
Yeah, we do need 13. We have 13 districts now. We should have 13 judges. That's supposed to be the way it works. Although the Constitution doesn't really say one way or the other.
Court packing. AOC is talking about impeaching the justices.
Court balancing.
Who she alleges lied. Because we heard from Senators Collins and Manchin over the weekend, and they said, you know, when I talked to Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, they made it sound like it was settled, and they weren't ever going to bring it up.
Right, it was settled law. Not just settled, but settled law. Wrote a book on frickin' settled law. It cannot be changed. 50 years, American women have had that right. The United States Supreme Court has never taken away a person's right, only granted further rights.
And so now there are some progressives who say we've got to impeach.
They did take away, businesses used to be able to enter into contracts without oversight from the state or city or whatever. And that was overturned. That right was taken away because it was businesses, not individuals. This is the first time.
The Wall Street Journal's got a great piece today. It's their lead editorial. And what it says, that the headline is, "The Justices Did Not Lie to the Senate." And it talks a little bit about how judges are limited under Article 3 of the U.S.
Hold on. Which
impeach them.
Which newspaper?
The Wall Street Journal's got a great...
Oh, Wall Street Journal. Okay, so this is probably an opinion piece from the Wall Street Journal editorial board. I don't know if it is or not. Let's see if we can find out.
Piece today. It's their lead editorial. And
it is an editorial piece.
What it says, that the headline is, "The Justices Did Not Lie to the Senate."
But they did.
It talks a little bit about...
They all said, oh, it's settled law, but I guess you're not lying if you unsettle it. The judges have that power.
About how judges are limited under Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution to hearing cases, and that means ruling on the facts or the situations of that case. If you prejudge a case, you are prejudiced, and you cannot have a bias. And
so why have hearings at all? Why advise and consent at all? That's what the Constitution says is supposed to happen. That's in Article 3.
Was Ruth Bader Ginsburg in 1993 who said, "It would be wrong for me to say or preview in this legislative session how I would cast my vote on questions the Supreme Court may be called upon to decide." And then they...
That is correct. She did say that, and most nominees say that.
Wrapped up the whole thing with this final quote.
It says, "The fury of the left's reaction isn't merely about guns and abortion. It reflects their grief at having lost the court as the vehicle."
Remember, and Halfton has a good point there about child trafficking. Remember, it was Amy Coney Barrett in the opinion who wrote that we have a shortage of the domestic supply of infants. We need more American infants because of the supply chain issues. That's what she wrote.
For achieving policy goals they can't get.
There are a lot of babies ready to be adopted from all around the planet. There are millions of kids. But no, we need domestic kids. We need American-born kids. That's what Amy Coney Barrett believes.
Get through legislatures. The cultural victories they achieved by judicial fate will now have to be won by
judicial fiat. Who is this, and why has she got a TV show? Because she is not... Has she never ridden in a Fiat? She's never been to Europe and never seen all the Fiats over the place?
Persuading voters. Yeah. We understand their frustration, but they ought to try democracy for a change.
Yeah, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg in 1993 says, hey, yeah, I'm not going to weigh in on any decision. Wouldn't be right. So that was the precedent going in. And as the editorial says, they weren't there when Manchin and Kavanaugh met, and weren't there when Kavanaugh and Gorsuch met. The same thing with Collins. They find it wholly unlikely that these men would commit to anything like that before a case as impactful as Roe v. Wade would come forward.
Well, they didn't. I mean, this was known at the time because Collins came out and talked about it. Manchin came out and talked about it. They had ample opportunity to say, no, that didn't happen.
And my Judge Ketanji Brown just got confirmed. She wouldn't even admit to what a woman was. So
that, first off, highly unlikely the Supreme Court has to decide what a woman is. Also, what the fuck kind of question is that anyway?
We have no idea what she's going to do on anything. So these whole coronations or...
they're not coronations. They're advising and consenting.
These...
confirmations.
For the most part, when go these confirmations,
Thank you.
They're going to be...
By fiat. They're executive fiat order fates.
Cutting up party...
The fates give a fiat and they drive in a Peugeot. Puget.
Lines from here on in. I think Joe Manchin voted for one of those Supreme Court justices, but we'll see where it goes. Thanks to Harry Reid, you don't need 60 votes. So there's going to be almost no information coming out of these confirmation hearings from here on in. And basically, you had...
Well, Harry Reid did it for federal judges because the Republicans were blocking all of the federal judges that Obama was nominating, no matter what, and they couldn't fill any positions. And of course, now we know how important those federal judges are. The Republicans blew that up. They used what they call the nuclear option, made it also 50, a simple majority, just to confirm a justice, Supreme Court justice. So Harry Reid really didn't do it, but he certainly started it up. And do not think for a second that once the Republicans have 50 plus in the Senate, that they aren't going to use the filibuster whenever they want it. Sorry, get rid of the filibuster whenever they feel like it.
Supreme Court justices who kicked everything.
They will do it to get their way. Be that against gay marriage or abortion or any of a number of issues where the Republicans just want it to happen, they will use that nuclear option again and again.
Back down to the states. To say it's impeachable is insane, and also to say that the Supreme Court is illegitimate. It's the same thing they always say. Donald Trump is illegitimate. George W. Bush is illegitimate. When something doesn't go your way, it's illegitimate. What do you mean it's illegitimate?
Has he not seen a Trump rally lately?
How could you not see a greater responsibility to the country? And when you talk about delegitimizing institutions on a regular basis.
Delegitimizing.
As bad. If you think January 6th is bad, that you think Donald Trump delegitimized the voting process, then you got to feel the same.
Delegitimized.
Same way when you talk about Hillary Clinton coming out not accepting and Stacey Abrams not accepting.
No, okay, Hillary conceded. Stacey Abrams, I don't believe, has ever conceded.
Institutions like the result of an election, and the same thing here. You don't like a decision by the Supreme Court, go protest. Right. But to say it's still illegitimate, it's not American, is inaccurate and destructive.
Illegitimate. To say it's illegitimate.
Destructive.
Well, we know who does not like this decision. According to a brand new CBS poll, 77% of Democrats feel it is a step backwards. However, 64% of Republicans say it is a step forward.
No, it's going back 50 years.
Mark Levin talks a little bit on his show last night about the politics.
The Democrat Party has exploited this issue, exploited it for political gain.
And for women's rights.
You hear their mouthpieces like Pelosi and Biden and the others talk about women like they represent all women. Suddenly they're able to define what a woman is. Isn't that weird? Do all women...
Well, they're women or women.
Women support abortion on demand? Do all women support abortion?
Well, here's the thing. Why do they always say abortion on demand? There's no other type of abortion. You know what? I am not pregnant right now. I would like an abortion.
Partial birth abortion.
They just don't like the word demand.
Abortion right up to the last second.
If the fetus is no longer viable and the mother is going to die, then yes, you abort the fetus. That's what the doctors tell you to do. Or the woman's going to die. If you're all about murdering of women, that's a different thing. Just come on out and say that.
Every person in every state support the abortion laws in New York and California, which are so radical, so extreme, that...
No, they're just saying that people have the right to abortions. You know, freedom.
They're really only applied in nations like North Korea, in communist China. Is that what women in this country believe?
Yes, many of them do.
So now we're going to hear a lot about
In North Korea, women do not have medical freedom.
expanding the court. We're going to find out how this is going to shake out in all the different states around the country, and abolishing.
By the way, the Biden administration still is against expanding the court. That was as of Friday, if I remember correctly.
The filibuster, we keep hearing that. It was good for Harry Reid back then, but now they want to change it, right? So that they only need 51 votes.
Think about this.
No, that's the opposite of what's happening, but okay.
You want to abolish the filibuster? Game.
What? Think about this. When filibuster.
Come on. You could lose it.
What?
Going to shake out in all the different states around the country, and abolishing the filibuster. We keep hearing that. It was good for Harry Reid back then, but now they want to change it, right? So that they only need 51 votes.
Think about this. You want to abolish the filibuster? Game.
Yeah, when a virus was phobic of the what?
Come on. You could lose the Senate, and in 3 months, the Republicans are going to be sitting there saying,
They know
really?
that.
We now have a simple majority that can pass or stop everything.
Right. But the problem is,
it'll stop everything.
The Democrats realize that their base is disillusioned. It's like, we have unified control of the federal government. We've got the House, we've got the Senate, we've got the White House.
No, we don't. We have Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin.
Why aren't they doing big structural things like getting rid of the filibuster or packing the court? And so that, that is why Joe Biden said on Friday, people are going to decide in November. Ultimately, some people will decide in November, but everybody will base it on themselves. And what is the most important thing to them at that point, the first Tuesday?
Because everybody's selfish. I'm not going to have an abortion anytime soon. No plans to, anyway. I'd like to, because I understand you can do it on demand now.
November. Is it abortion? Or is it $5 gas? That's the soundbite we ran with Lindsey Graham, and right now, according to the polls, he's right.
Right, and I would just say, I would add this, the one thing that becomes a national election is the Senate. If they want to pack the court, you're going to have to overcome Manchin and Sinema, and to do that, you need more Democratic senators that could motivate the Pennsylvania race, could motivate the Georgia race.
Yeah, it will likely fail. They won't be able to abolish the filibuster because they don't have Manchin or Sinema. All right, what's coming up, Brian?
All right, President Biden meets with G7 leaders to take...
You don't need to abolish the filibuster to appoint Supreme Court justices. They really don't know. They really don't know what they're talking about.
On China and
that's in Germany.
Give support to Ukraine. They've been meeting all weekend. But hear why critics fear the U.S. is losing its superpower standing.
And as we look ahead to record July 4th holiday travel, we just had another weekend of travel chaos. Great. Hear what the airlines are now blaming it on right after the break.
There's not enough pilots, and there's not enough of anybody right now, $5 gas or something. All right, well, that's enough for today, I think. Enjoy yourselves, be good to yourself, be good to others. I might come back and broadcast later today. Tomorrow I leave for Seattle, so I'll try and broadcast from Seattle as well. I hope no one's, well, if you're in Seattle, let me know. It's a surprise for my dad. Shh. But my dad's not watching, I'm sure. So yeah, in fact, my dad doesn't watch this at all. My stepmom does, and she's the one organizing the whole thing. So anyway, be good to yourself, be good to others. Most importantly, be good to me.